Getting hot. Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, we're going to talk about how I asked over 400 people what they would do with $1,000, and I found the results very interesting. So let's talk about that. If you were given $1,000 today, what would you do with it? Would you put it towards your emergency fund? Would you pay off debt with it? Would you invest? 56% of you said that you would put that money towards your emergency fund. And 36% of you said that you would pay off debt with it. And only 4% of you said that you would invest. So I find that interesting because basically what that tells me is that there are a lot of people feeling very stressed right now, feeling like more of like they are feeling defensive, like their mindset is more cautionary, like they're worried about getting laid off, maybe their job's being replaced with AI. They're just concerned about money right now, so they want to put an extra $1,000 towards their emergency fund, and also they want to pay off debt, obviously, but that's second on the list to their emergency fund. And yes, also a lot of people maybe you don't have an emergency fund and you feel like you need to get it going. But so anyway, so what can we take away from the results of this poll? Now, we know that like people don't choose necessarily the best math, because if you were choosing best math practices, then obviously paying off your highest interest debt first would be priority, but also investing, because you would know that compound interest is important, and making sure that you do continue to invest starting at a younger age is always going to pay off later in life. But if you always choose your emergency fund and your debt first, then you may never invest. Most people spend their whole lives alternating between both. So they're saving for their emergency fund, and then they have an emergency fund, and they drain their emergency fund, and then they got to try to rebuild it, or they pay off debt, and then they go back into debt. And so it's kind of like this cycle where they're paying off debt and building their emergency fund, and they never get around to investing, just ever. Now, so I have discussed before on my channel how when we were getting out of debt, we paused all investing. We did, follow Dave Ramsey's advice. We were following the baby steps, and we paused all investing. And later, I really regretted that. I wish that we had continued to at least invest up to the match at with our employers. And so we missed out on that match during that time period. And I wish we hadn't done that, but we did. So I would always say to continue investing. So even if you're paying off debt and even if you're trying to save for your emergency fund, at least up to the match with your employer. And so I always like to now recommend the 3-bucket system. And basically what this means is with your extra money, we're not talking about money that you use to pay your mortgage, your rent, food, electricity. With whatever extra money you have, it's always going towards the 3 buckets, which is emergency fund or savings, your debt payoff, and also investing. So I recommend 40%, 40%, and 20% into investing. And you can adjust those amounts however you are more comfortable with. Obviously, it's fluid, but as long as you are continuously doing something into those buckets, even if it is $5 a month into investing, and that's all you do. That's why we're doing the investing challenge on my channel, which is $1 a week, is to try to help everybody to get into it just a little bit, so that way, and the reason why is that way you're always learning. And when you're doing something, that's how you learn. And if you actually are doing the clicking and the buying and the investing, you're going to track those stocks or those ETFs. You're going to know what's happening with them, so that when the time comes when you actually do have real money to invest, you know what you want to invest in, like what works for you, what you like best. Because some of it is too, like which companies do you like, or which ones have done well and which ones haven't for you. But you're not going to know any of that if you don't ever get in the game. And then, so obviously with that, we want to start investing before we feel ready, because like I said before, you'll never really feel ready. Okay, so if only 4% of people choose investing, that's kind of how long are you delaying actually getting in there. Okay, so if you wait till the perfect timing, so this is sort of like having children. If you're always waiting for the perfect time to have children, there could be a high likelihood that you never have children, or by the time you're ready to have them, you're unable to, right? Because we get older, and especially us women. So if we're always waiting for that perfect time, then it just might not happen. And usually you're almost never really ready. You might think you're ready, but you're not ready till that kid comes out and you're not sleeping. And it's like, whoa, mama, okay, this is a lot tougher than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, and then whatever you're doing with these buckets, I do think automation is key too. Like you have to have some kind of automation. So if you are investing, even if it's that $1 a week, then you can set it to weekly to, whatever brokerage you're using, you set it for that $1. If you're paying off debt, you have at least a minimum amount that you're paying off debt that you can set it to automatically send every month. And then obviously you can always do more. You can always do more than that. But if you don't automate anything, there is a chance that you don't do anything and then it never happens, because life gets messy and we get busy and things come up and you just forget, and you're having a down month and or you're sick and you're sleeping a lot. Things happen. So if you don't automate it, then it's just not going to occur. So automate something, even if it's very small. Just get something going. Okay, now for the stock challenge for this week. What we are doing is $1 a week into a different ETF or stock. And some of you said from last week that you didn't even know how to buy a stock. You had no idea to do that. And that's what this challenge is for. So I do use Robinhood. Some of you were asking me. I use the Robinhood app. I do think it's very simple to use. First step, obviously, is to download the app onto your phone. Get the app, and then when you go into it, it is kind of self-explanatory, but I understand it's a little bit confusing. There are so many great videos out there who show you step by step in a minute, and that's the whole video is a tutorial on how to do it. But so when you do it, you just have to deposit some money, $1 of buying power from your bank account. So you do have to either link your debit card, or you can just do your debit card. That's easiest in the beginning. So you just link your debit card to it and you just put $1 in the buying power, and then you can search for a stock. So, when you go into the screen, you're going to see the investing. You're in the investing portion. And if you scroll down, it's right under the chart, the up and down swiggle chart. It's right under that. It'll say buying power. So if you click on buying power, you can then click deposit funds. And when you click deposit funds, you can do $1. I think that's the minimum. So you can click $1, and then you're going to do continue, and then you choose from your debit card in the drop down, and then you can click deposit into your individual. That's where you're going to, is into your individual, and then you'll have your $1. Then when you want to search you do the magnifying glass to search for a stock, and there at the top it says search, and you can just type in the name of the stock, or if you know the ticker symbol, you can type in the ticker symbol, and then once you bring it up, it'll, say trade at the bottom right in green. Okay, so for this week's stock picking challenge, because I just sort of did that little walkthrough, for those of you who I think we're 10 weeks in, we've purchased 10 different stocks or ETFs. What I want you to do is whatever day you're watching this video, go in to your brokerage and look at the ones that you've already purchased, and look at one that is down, okay? It's down, not up. Look at one that that the stock's gone down in price, and you're going to buy another $1 of that one if you feel comfortable with it. If you're like, okay, this one, I like this one, okay, I'm going to try this one, because the price is down, and that's when you want to buy. Because I was talking to someone else, I think it was about Amazon stock, and I was saying, Amazon stock I think is a good one to buy. Because of AWS, and anyway, so I was like, you should buy, and they were looking at it, and they were like, oh, but it's down. I don't want to buy it. The price is really down. I was like, yes, that's when you want to buy. You don't want to be buying when it's at all-time highs. That's the worst time to be buying. So if the stock is down and you have conviction about that particular company or ETF, you want to buy another $1 of it or another share or whatever you're doing. That's when you want to do it, not when it's at all-time highs. That's when you're like, whoa, pump the brakes on that one until it comes back down a little bit. Because, it's most likely going to go down if you're at all-time highs, and if you're at all-time lows, it's going to go up. So if you look in the Robinhood app, if that's the one we're looking at, and you open up a stock, let's just say, let's open up Zevia, because we did buy Zevia. All right, I think I'm going to Zevia's up right now, so I'm not going to buy another one of that. But Zevia, it's not up by that much. But if you look at it, if you open it up and you scroll, you can see the 52-week low and the 52-week high. Okay, so when I'm looking at Zevia, the 52-week low is $1.11, and the high is $3.66. So you can see it is down from the 52-week high, that's for sure. And it's up a little bit, so I could buy another dollar of Zevia, right? I could add to my position of that because it's not at the 52-week high. All right, but so you kind of look and see when you're looking at a stock, you don't really want to buy it necessarily towards the 52-week high. So anyway, that's for this week. Go through your list. Pick one that is down, has a red line, and look at the 52 high and low, and then buy another dollar of it. Okay, so we're going to add to one of our positions this week.